Hi there, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Lanning, and I'm so excited to welcome you back to our Writers Workshop, where we've just begun our new unit on realistic fiction. We know that fiction means make believe, made up, pretend. We've been writing realistic fiction stories about made up people and made up situations and adventures, and we've been having so much fun because we are great at pretend and make believe. So, writers, before we dive in, I want to tell you a story about something that happened yesterday. Yesterday, I was at the park like I usually am, and I saw this little boy, Sam, who's usually there with his babysitter and little sister. Usually, Sam comes with his bike, but he can't get started on his bike until after the babysitter has Sam wait on the bench, and the babysitter has to get the little baby sister out of the stroller and all these things, so then that way the babysitter can then help Sam with the bike. And the babysitter tells Sam what to do once he's finally able to get on the bike. She tells him, put on your helmet, Sam. And so then Sam will put on his helmet. Pedal faster, Sam. Sam, keep pedaling. But today was different. That yesterday was different when I was at the park and saw them. That day, while the babysitter was unstrapping Sam's little sister out of the stroller, I saw Sam was getting himself ready for his bike. I saw Sam get out his helmet on his own, and I saw Sam whispering things to himself. He was saying, put on your helmet, Sam, and he would put on his helmet. And then he got on his bike and he whispered to himself, pedal faster, Sam, and he pedaled faster. He got himself started without help, without his babysitter's help. He didn't even have to wait on her. And boys and girls, Sam reminded me of you friends as writers. He remembered everything that he needed to do to ride the bike. His babysitter had modeled it for him over and over and practiced it with him, and then he would tell himself those directions out loud to remind himself what he needs to do. And you friends can do that with writing. I've modeled for you, your teachers have modeled for you, all the steps that we need to do to be great writers. And now you, friends, have heard that so often, you can be your own boss and tell yourself your directions to help you get started on your own writing as you write realistic fiction books. Now, yesterday, we focused on some steps when writing realistic fiction. First, we thought of a pretend character, and we gave that character a name, and we imagined a special place that this imaginary character was at. And then we thought of the different trouble or adventures that the character could get into. Once we picked just one character, just one name, just one place, and just one adventure for them to get into, and we saved the rest for later, we were able to get our paper, touch and tell across the pages, and then sketch across the pages so we could, of course, begin writing. Now, boys and girls, today I want to teach you that writers take charge of their own writing and they give themselves orders, just like Sam was giving himself orders to get himself started on riding his bike. Writers think about the most important work that they need to do next, and they almost whisper little directions to themselves, such as, now I need to, or next I should, or now it's time to. So writers, I really want you to give this a try. I'll model it first. I'll act out the part of being a first grade writer. If I get stuck, can you help me out? I want you to whisper what I could do to help me out. What are directions I could tell myself so I could pretend that I thought of it? Yesterday, when we finished, like you, I did one thing to help me get started on a new story, but I didn't do enough. So I finished my story all about Gretchen finding the hurt animal, and then I was ready to start another story. And remember, I had thought of a lot of adventures for Gretchen in her treehouse, so I decided to do another book about Gretchen and another adventure in her treehouse. But here's the issue. I picked the story, and then I didn't make a sketch of it. So now I can't even remember what adventure I wanted to write about, what trouble Gretchen would get into. So I really need an idea to get myself started. Oh, I could ask a friend for idea. That's not taking charge. I could ask my teacher, teacher, what do I write next? What's the idea? No, that's not taking charge either. I could copy my friend next to me and see what they're writing. You're right. That's not taking charge. Oh, I'll ask to go to the bathroom and I'll just hide in there until writing is done. No, that is not the time. I'm not taking charge, right? Help me out. What could I do? What do I already know about writing fiction stories? That's right. I can make the character do something. I could think of some trouble for her to get into. I can pretend to be my character, act it out. Okay, pretend to be my character. I'm going to whisper that direction to myself. Pretend to be my character. Right. I'm going to imagine that I am Gretchen climbing up the ladder to my tree fort. And you know what the trouble is going to be? Gretchen's brother is going to be blocking the entrance, so she can't get in. Her brother is blocking the entrance. Now, I have a brother, so I can imagine that situation really well and make it seem very realistic. Now, writers, did you see how I worked at remembering how fiction writers get started? I whispered some directions or orders to myself. I gave myself a direction. I whispered to myself, pretend to be the character, and I imagined that I was the character. I didn't go hide in the bathroom. I didn't copy off my neighbor. I didn't tell the teacher to tell me what to write. I got myself started by giving myself a direction, and I told myself to pretend to be the character. So I want you, friends, to give this a try for a moment. Some of you are already starting another book. Others of you have already started your second or third book. And you may have already started a sentence or a sketch of what comes next. Not what you would write next. What would you do next? I want you to think. Tell yourself, what could you do next? Whisper it. What could you do next? Think of a couple orders you might whisper to yourself that could help you going independently. Ooh, I heard some good ones. One friend said, go get a paper with lots of lines. Another friend said, set a goal for you to finish this book today. Others said, ooh, it's time for you to pick a place, pick a place, pick a place. Some of you were saying, find your next adventure. You were giving yourself directions, so that way you could go ahead and get started. So writers, it's time for you to show off all that you know. I know that you're going to give yourself great directions. Remember, we're not just going to sit here and say, I don't know what to do. I'm going to go hide in the bathroom. I'm just waiting for my teacher to tell me what to do. No, we learned today that we can give ourselves special orders and directions to get our own self started on our writing. You can be the boss of you and get yourself started on some great fiction writing. Give yourself orders as often as you need to keep your writing engine going. All right, writers, it's your turn. I can't wait to see what great writing you do today as you give yourself orders to get your writing started. See you next time, friends. Writers go write.